My first year as a therapist took about 7 to 8 years of school. I needed to get malpractice insurance. I'm like 20-something people's therapist. What is going on? Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is something I've been thinking about filming for over a year, ever since I became a therapist in June 2024. I've been writing little notes and things because I wanted to do a video talking about my first year as a therapist. The main reason why I wanted to create this video is because when I was trying to figure out what is this world gonna look like when I first was applying to jobs and everything, I'll talk about the process and how much schooling I needed, blah, blah, like really quick, just because some people have asked me in the past in comments, and I feel like it's easier to just put it in one place. Everything with the imposter syndrome. There's so many pieces to it. The craziest thing, I usually do research before I film a YouTube video like this. I just want to make sure that I include everything, don't leave anything out. And I look up my first year as a therapist. You would think that's something that people would want to understand better, even from the client's point of view. I think it's really interesting to look into the world of what the therapist goes through and sees and experiences and what it took to get there. It wasn't a couple years of school, no. It took about 7 to 8 years of school to become a therapist. The craziest thing, so I did my research, right? You see the ADHD. Boom, 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 boom. So a week ago, I was doing my research. I looked up on YouTube my first year as a therapist. There was nothing really there. It was just like very professional company LLC videos of like what to expect your first therapy session for the client. On the therapist side, there was one video, 8 things you should know your first year of therapy or something like that. And I was like, okay, all right. And then I click on it and it's still like this very professional feel to it. I was looking more for like your FaceTiming with a friend. Those are my favorite kind of videos to watch, unless I'm looking for information. I've been watching a little too much of Andrew Huberman lately, every single day, every morning when I take a walk. I don't know. I think it's good though. It's helping me a lot, even in session with clients. Anyway, do you see what I mean? But yeah, I was just really disappointed to see that there's basically no videos of therapists speaking openly on YouTube, at least. On TikTok, yeah, there's, the typical 15-second videos, whatever, but it's not the same. Like, I want to sit down and watch a full 30-minute video about other people's experience as a therapist, other people's experience working this kind of position and what that's like, and creating your own private practice, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's so professional. I'm like, I don't want that. I was also looking up videos before I took my licensure exam. This was a little gift because I passed my NCE exam, my licensure exam. So currently, technically, I'm an LPCA, Licensed Professional Counselor Associate. Passing that exam and completing 3,000 clinical hours takes off the A, and then it'll just be LPC. But by the end of the year, I'm expecting to complete my hours, or very, very early next year. So I'm really excited. So far, I have 16 things on my list because, as you can see, I'm going to be talking about Lord knows what if I don't make a list. When it comes to schooling, which schools, it was a long story because I was a military wife at one point and we moved around a lot. I did college online, right? I got my bachelor's degree, graduated in Hawaii. That took 4 years, right? I applied to the Applied Psychology Master's program in Sacred Heart University in Connecticut, and I did that for 2 years, right? So that's 6 years. Then I wasn't sure what I'm supposed to do. I didn't have much guidance, so I was really confused. My therapist at the time, thank God for her, she's like, all right, this is what you gotta do. This is what you have to fill out. She showed me the form that I would send to DPH, Department of Public Health in Connecticut, and it shows the courses you need. I needed to get my transcripts from the first school and then from the second one for my master's. I realized I was missing like 6 different courses or something. I had to get a certain amount of credits and I had to have taken certain classes. I applied to post-university online in 2022, I think. That took about a year and a half or so. I completed that, and then I got all 3 transcripts, sent it into the Department of Public Health, and then finally I got my LPCA active license on Department of Public Health. Oh my goodness. At the time that I got the call that I have the LPCA license, like everything's good to go, it's there, and I could start applying to jobs and working, blah, blah, blah. I was literally in the middle of my shift at Center for Discovery. I worked at an eating disorder treatment place. I got that call on the shift there, and I was like thinking in my head, I'm out of here. I don't get paid enough. $19 an hour? Yeah, that was crazy. Now I get paid way more than that, way more. I love this job. Like, I genuinely love this job. I do want to grow and eventually have my own practice, blah, 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 whatever. First, I need to complete my hours though. I had my laptop there because I would do the patient notes. Oh my gosh, it was so many notes all day. Every hour there had to be a paragraph note about the patients and blah, blah, blah. I was leading DBT groups there daily, multiple times a day. I was not getting paid enough for that. That was really something else. Working there though was extremely useful. It was a great way for me to learn and be introduced to what therapy is gonna look like. And I remember, oh my gosh, it was like every month there was new patients there and everything, but I connected with a lot of them and they wrote me these letters. I mean, I was crying in one of these videos reading one of them. People I would never forget, and I hope they're doing amazing. And a lot of the letters and little notes they would write me before they would leave the program was like, you're gonna be an amazing therapist. I believe in you. You're gonna change people's lives. And I was like, stop. It was crazy because at the time, though I was going through the motions of getting to where I wanted to be in life, I didn't fully believe that I would be a good therapist, just because it's like, you don't know till you actually do it. You could have an image in your head, but to actually do it was terrifying. And I was like, I mean, I hope I will be, but you know, it's like so many doubts. It's gonna be 2 years that I've been working as a therapist in June. It feels like it's been forever. So I was expecting the job search to be really difficult, and I was like, oh my God, here we go. The interviews, all that stuff. Yeah, I got a job 2 days after that. The job I'm working now as a 1099, I don't know what it's called, 1099 worker. I got so blessed. Like, it was crazy. It was like 1 out of 3 jobs I applied for. Literally the next day, I get a LinkedIn message. I think we did an interview that day or the next day. And then during the interview, I felt like, okay, I really like this woman. You know, I feel like you have to connect with the people you work for, work with. You don't want to be miserable at your job. I felt comfortable, and typically my heart is beating out of my chest in interviews. After the interview was done, she said she'd contact me within an hour or something like that to let me know if it's a good fit or not. And I was like, I'm scared. She called me, I think within like 15 minutes or 30 minutes. I don't know. It was pretty soon after. I don't know what it's called. Like, I don't know what these terms are, like when they accept you for a job and then send over the contract. But basically that's what happened. I don't know. I got the acceptance letter. I was like, is this a prank? Ain't no way. Crazy. But then came the realness, you know, like when something looks exciting and shiny, and still is, but like then it's like the reality sets in when you actually start working the job and you actually see, okay, yes, this is my passion, but I have to make sure things are done a certain way. You gotta make sure your own mental health is good. Definitely in this job, because you don't want to be dissociating. You don't want to be struggling to breathe because you're anxious. You know, you gotta be imposter syndrome set in. That was really something. Even to this day, clients will be talking about something and be like, oh, I told them my therapist said blah, blah, blah. And I was like, who's your therapist? I don't know, maybe in 10 years, I'll be like, yeah, I'm somebody's or a lot of people's therapist. It's so weird to say that. I'm like 20 something people's therapist. What is going on? It just feels unreal. Oh, so another thing, something I love was, first of all, the 1099, it wasn't W-2. I get to write off whatever I write off of the taxes. So, you know, things like my computer, internet, all this stuff I could include, anything I buy for the job, anything technology wise to write off. I get to pick my own hours. I get to pick my days off. I could have 5 weeks vacation a year if I wanted to. Also, I knew going into finding a job, I needed 3,000 hours of supervision and clinical hours with clients to be able to send in my application for the LPC. Also, passing the NCE exam was really hard, 4 hours long. Oh my gosh. I knew that some people have to pay per session for supervision, and I loved that with this job, supervision was included weekly. Sometimes I use my own therapy as like supervision. I'll ask like, what would you do if a client had this issue? And I feel like it is funny funny that knowing your therapist has a therapist, and probably that therapist has a therapist, before I could actually start having sessions, which happened within a week, I think, of signing the contract, I learned the Simple Practice platform, which was a whole thing on its own. Then came the first client ever. Man, I will never forget her just because, it was the first client and I was like, what am I supposed to say? They don't really teach you this in school. Like we learn about like book stuff, the DSM, but like to be with a client was very different because they're looking at you as the professional, which I am, but it's just like imposter syndrome. So I'm like, me? It's just a constant thing that happened for the first like 6 months. I had like this urge to be like, oh my God, you're my first client. But then, yeah, no, because who would want to be a therapist's first client ever? I feel like people would be a little nervous about that. I feel like the patient and professional relationship is really, really important. It's actually the most important thing. Biggest predictor of success is the therapeutic alliance relationship. If there's rapport, connection, click, even just the vibe, the energy, it's really important. I realized that too. Like I love reading studies. I'm such a nerd. I want to go back to school for my doctorate after I get my LPC, I'm changing my last name. Then I'm gonna apply and look for doctorate programs. Yeah, that first client. Oh Lord, I asked my supervisor before the session. I'm like, so what do I say? She ran me through the intake, all the questions we asked. Like it's funny. You just meet the first session and you're like, so what's your trauma? Have you been arrested? The one that always people are like, what? When I'm like, do you have homicidal ideation? Some people are like, what is that? I don't know how else to say it with the first client or first several clients. It's literally fake it till you make it kind of thing. And if you project confidence and you like, I am this, I have a license, like I'm a professional. Okay, yeah, you are. You are. Another really big thing I learned was that you can't force a therapeutic connection if there isn't one. Sometimes it's like meeting people at work, in the grocery store, I don't know. Not everyone you're gonna connect to and feel like that click happen, Sometimes it's just something's not right and you feel like you can't build that trust in that type of way that you need in therapy. You're talking about your innermost soul, tearing apart type things. So of course you're gonna want to feel completely safe, fully like you can say exactly how you feel, exactly what you've been through. Sometimes you just gotta let it go. And I had to learn it the hard way just because there was a client I was meeting with for like definitely 6 months, more than that probably. And I brought it up a couple times because, in supervision, I'm like, I don't know what's going on. All these questions I ask or like activities I offer. Do you want to do meditation? Do you want to do this? There was like a couple breakthroughs and months down the line, I offered like, hey, if you want, we can transfer you to another clinician in the practice if you feel like it's not really progressing the way you expect. And I would get pushback and she's like, no, let's keep going. And I get that because you develop a trust of some sort. It's annoying to have to go to another clinician and have to say everything all again. So I understand that. Funny, we're talking about it. One client was like, I'm gonna create a PowerPoint if I ever have to switch therapists again because it's so annoying to have to go through the information again and again and again. At the end of the day, it did come to the point where she was like, okay, I found another therapist in person. I can't force certain things, Sometimes you gotta know when to let go, and not just in this therapeutic environment, but also in life, partners with friends. Sometimes you just outgrow people. You can't force a connection. You can't force energy to be aligned if it's not. At the end of the day, if you try to force it, especially in the therapy environment, then it's not beneficial to the client or the therapist because then it's always in limbo. Like nothing's progressing really. Nothing's really getting worse. It's just kind of like something else that's important to top that off. Important not to practice beyond competence. I had a couple clients in the past that came in for porn addiction. First of all, it's a little triggering to me because I'm human at the end of the day. Like there's certain things that I don't want to deal with, certain clients that have certain issues that would trigger me, and then I can't stay objective. Then I'm going to be activated in session. Even if I keep my stoic face and just kind of like keep nodding, in my head I'm like, bro, So the number one rule in the ACA Code of Ethics, basically therapist rules, is to do no harm to the client, right? And if we're not objective, we're letting our own stuff come up, and even subconscious judgment or anger, frustration, that's not supposed to be coming up. You know, we're supposed to be complete, not blank slate, because I can't do that. No, I can't keep a stoic face, blank face the whole session and be like, yeah, when they're talking about the wildest things ever. I mean, I've heard some stuff. I've been yelled at by a client. Yeah, that was the last time I saw them. Another thing, I'm the child's therapist in the practice because I have kids and I feel like I have that patience. When I was in school, that was what I expected to be working with. Like, I thought I was going to be an only child therapist, like working in even elementary school or something like that. Middle school, I mean, yeah. I first had therapy in high school with a counselor there. It was life-changing. And after that, I was like, that's what I want to do. Shoot, maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll be like a school psychologist. Get the summers off, vacations. That sounds like a good life to me. I don't know where life will take me. Working with kids, you know, they're at home most of the time. The parents or someone, the caregiver is in the house. What I learned is if you put your child in therapy, it's really important they have a space to know that they can speak openly and truly speak about what they need to speak about. They're not going to speak openly if it's not a private space, if they think their parent is like listening to the door, you know what I mean? I've had kids hide in the closet in their room because they can't have privacy and they're whispering. It's like, you know, when certain parents are gonna still not allow privacy because they're worried about what their kids will say, but it's like that's what therapy is. At the same time, if you put your child in therapy, you can't control what they say in therapy. That's been a struggle. I never even thought about these things because, well, I mean, I've never had this position before. Something else that I had no idea. You have to pay $125 a year to renew your license, right? That's the basic license. If you don't do that, you cannot practice. On top of that, you have to pay for CEUs, which I forgot what that stands for. That's basically continued education units. Universe. Anyway, it don't even matter. It's basically you have to keep learning, stay on top of modern techniques, new techniques, which is great. I think that's actually how it should be, but you have to pay for it. There are some free options, some sites do, but it's not the training that I really want. Like, I'm really intrigued with neuroscience, with trauma. And anyway, well, I got my certified trauma professional cert. I renewed it and that cost $90 for 3 years. So it's not horrible. EMDR therapy, some of my clients have told me like, oh my gosh, I would love to try that. And I'm like, I have to get certified first. I looked it up and it's about like $3,000. Yeah, it's all out. Oh, well, let's save up for that. It's like a down payment on a car. Alrighty. I try to wait when there's like a sale and then I buy the class or the training or whatever. And that's important because like another big thing I realized, because I do my own research and I love reading new studies and research that came out. I saw a study about how they found that marijuana use can cause psychosis. So I'm like, what? That's crazy. Did more research and then I realized certain clients added these symptoms of psychosis, extreme, severe paranoia. What else were they doing? Partaking. Some people are really resistant and completely shut you down when you even bring up the information, send the research. There was one client that actually stopped smoking, diagnosed with a lot of things going on that were really severe. After this client stopped smoking, gone. It was literally like a miracle. Just basic anxiety with regular things that cause everyday people anxiety. Literally a miracle. So that's why it's important to continue education. I also got this really good book. Hold on, I want to show you guys. I have a whole library over there. My DSM with the organized tabs. This book is something else. I'll put it down in the description. I bought the physical copy so I can highlight things. In the beginning, I first got it on Audible. I would go on my walks with Marley in the morning and listen to it, and it's mind-blowing. Almost every single one of my clients has trauma history. With the trauma certification and my interest and intrigue when it comes to trauma and how it affects us and in everyday life, I learned that one of the greatest ways to heal trauma is to have a therapist that you get that unconditional positive regard from. Then it helps heal that interpersonal trust and bond wound that was probably broken in the past by others. So that therapeutic relationship helps foster that vision of a healthy relationship that helps propel the client into finding other healthy relationships outside of that. But yeah, that unconditional positive regard, it's been huge. I compare it to motherly love and unconditional positive regard. I accept you and I'm here and you're not gonna get abandoned kind of thing. There are limits to that too. Like I said, getting screamed at, getting verbally abused in session. There are some things where it's like, I can't do this with you. You gotta go. It happened like almost like exactly a year into me doing this job, and I was just like kind of in a state of shock and trying to be calm, and my voice cracked a couple times when I was saying this doesn't seem to be a really good therapeutic connection if you feel the need to communicate this way. She was like, what do you mean? I'm not doing anything wrong. Wow. Another thing is along the way through school to graduate school, you kind of learn which theories you connect to, if it's psychoanalysis, if it's humanistic psychology. I went into this job kind of like, all right, I'm gonna see along the way what I connect with first and see how I work and what it aligns with, what kind of theory. Definitely with humanistic. As you can see, I have Maslow's hierarchy of needs back here. I connect with that a lot, though apparently they said there's a more accurate model now, but to me, that's a basic understanding of human needs, what we aspire to be. There are some instances where people don't really even care, think about being self-actualized or becoming their higher self. I'm really passionate about that. I'm really passionate about getting people up the pyramid. That's why in the intake or even in some sessions, I'll ask, how are you feeling? How's your sleep? Are you eating okay? How's your energy? Because all that stuff is physiological, right? And that's the basics, you know. Then it's safety. Are you safe? Do you feel comfortable in your house? Do you feel extremely tense? Then it's love and belonging. The tippity top is self-actualization. I am me. Like, you fully accept yourself. You love yourself, what you imagine as your higher self. And I feel like from there, that's not the end. Naturally, as humans, we always want to keep evolving. I'm sure it's not just me. I sometimes joke that it's almost like an issue. I dreamed about this job. I dreamed about passing the NCE exam, getting the LPC, and now it's here. It's in my grasp. But I know once I get that, then it's gonna be like, all right, what's the next thing? How are we gonna make more money? Or I might work in a school. I don't know. It's funny, I talked about being a little triggered by talk of narcissism in the beginning of this career. Now I'm in training for narcissistic abuse. There's like 7 different types of narcissists. I didn't know that. Now that's a really big interest alongside trauma, clearly. I don't think the statistics are true that there's only says like 5% of people of the population is typically a narcissist. First of all, would narcissists typically come to therapy? Would narcissists typically tell the doctor? No, they hide that. They mask it. So it's very extremely rare for a narcissist to come to therapy. So I just wonder, where are those statistics from? It's definitely more than that. And another thing I didn't really think about before becoming a therapist was being a mandated reporter, having the responsibility of calling DCF, calling the police, which I've had to do both. DCF several times. I had to call the police once in one instant where a client told me something that was even on FBI level. Yeah, it's been a lot. Again, I wish there were videos before I started this job that I could watch and be like, whoa, that's a lot to take in. Let me digest that. No, it just, phew, here you go. Good luck. Reddit seems to be the place on the internet where it's most accurate, most truthful. I don't want any videos of like a professional and welcome. Today we're gonna talk about, no, we're trying to FaceTime. We're trying to connect. I hope this helps somebody. I'm not even done yet. Hold on. I got like a couple things. Also, another thing, writing session notes. I don't think you guys understand the notes that therapists have to write for each session. I might add in a screen recording actually. It's a lot more than you expect. It's a lot. It asks appearance, the type of voice, monotone or euphoric or depressed, symptoms, and then things you talked about, and then the plan, and then objectives, and then next session plan, and what's the client gonna do? What's the homework? It's like, damn, insurance. Let me not get started with insurance. Let me not even get started with the trauma I experienced when my supervisor texted me last year, almost a year ago. She was like, yeah, we're getting audited. I was like, say what? Like I said, I didn't write the notes perfectly. I didn't put the exact minute that we started session, the exact minute we ended. So I was like, I'm going to jail. I went to ChatGPT and was like, ma'am, what does this look like? She was like, relax. I don't know why I think ChatGPT is a she, but whatever. When that happened, I was like, I just want to be a stay-at-home mom again. With the notes, okay, so see, we're getting really off track. I've been talking too much. This is what happens. With the notes, I write them as I'm in session. I have the video on one side, the session on one. I'll write little things because I'm gonna forget. After 6-7 patients a day, you best to believe if I don't remember what happened yesterday, what I did, where I went, I'm not gonna remember what 7 people talked about. So I write the note as I'm doing it. That makes it easier. Some people were talking about they're writing on a notepad. At the end of the day, they type up the notes for 2 hours. No, ma'am. I have to include this because in the beginning, I didn't know how to write notes, right? I didn't know less is more. You could get subpoenaed. If you write a little too much, they're gonna look at it like, this is questionable. What's going on here? That's why I needed to get malpractice insurance, but that's a whole nother thing. I used to write notes like, this is just theoretical, no, hypothetical, not theoretical. Or both? I don't freaking know. So I used to write notes like, for example, blah, blah, blah client said that, blah, blah, blah friend doing this and that. She was prostituting. She was not giving her money. Oh my. This is just theoretical, right? I would be very exact with things. And my boss said, hey now, you don't want to get subpoenaed. I was like, you got a point. Less is more for sure. So now, you just got to keep it general, focus on the symptoms and how it's affecting their life and blah, blah. But yeah, with the malpractice thing, I almost did get subpoenaed and ended up not going through because, well, that's just something I'm not going to talk about. You got to be careful. Just like dollars. What am I doing? Dollars. Just like doctors can get sued. I mean, anybody can really get sued, but we can too. Last thing I'm going to say, because I think it's important, is you're gonna have sessions that are complete breakthroughs, so much insight. You can say some profound statement or tie something in from their trauma or their past to now and tie patterns. You know that picture where it's explaining therapy in a visual sense, where it's 2 heads, one is all jumbled yarn, and then it goes to the other person and it like becomes, organized. So that's what a therapist does. I feel like they see things from the outside and they could organize your ideas and your experiences and tie them in a way that, wow, it makes sense. That's happened to me a lot in my own therapy. Some days are like that. Some clients are like that. Breakthroughs, and just feel like you come out of days like that feeling like on top of the world, but not in a grandiose kind of way, but more so I really helped someone. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. It's the best feeling for me to make a change in someone else's day or life or make some kind of positive impact, because that's such a big deal. For me, when I have my breakthroughs in therapy, it's like, pew. Never thought about it that way. Let me tell you, when you tell your therapist, wow, I never thought about it that way till you said that, we love that. I'm not even gonna lie. So I make sure I tell my therapist when that happens, because I'm like, I know those words mean a lot. Some days you're gonna feel like the best therapist on the planet. There's gonna be some days you're gonna want to switch jobs and get another degree. There's some days where I'm like, I'm gonna head out right after the session, finish my notes, click, 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 submit. Then I'm going straight in the shower and having myself a good cry. Thinking about what the hell are we doing? But I feel like that's with any job. You know what I mean? Because not every day is going to be incredible and so fulfilling. And also, last thing, know your limit with clients. If you know after seeing 5 people a day, you're done, there's a cap of empathy. There's a cap of human ability to be able to be fully present and objective. And I think it's really important to not go past it. Again, do no harm to clients, right? Yeah, guys, if you have any more questions, please ask below. It's so interesting now knowing what my therapist in the past has had to do. I'm like, what kind of notes I wonder she wrote? what did she diagnose me with? If you have any questions about what is therapy like and how to choose a therapist, because that's a whole other thing. So I hope this helped somebody. If this helped one person, I'm gonna be so happy, because this is what I needed almost 2 years ago. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, click the bell if you want to know when I come out with my next video. I'll see you guys in the next video.